They say there's a cabin up in the Smoky Mountains that no one's lived in for decades. But somehow, there's always smoke rising from its chimney on cold nights. Hikers talk about hearing footsteps around it after dark, or catching glimpses of lights flickering through the trees. Locals just call it the Hollow Cabin, and everyone knows to stay clear of the logging road that leads there. I didn't. It was last November, during my photography trip. I wanted moody, rural shots, abandoned places, nature reclaiming man's ruins. When a ranger mentioned the cabin, I thought it was perfect. He warned me it wasn't safe, that the structure was rotting. But the way he avoided my eyes told me it wasn't the building he was worried about. The hike took 3 hours. Fog drifted low, swallowing the trail, muffling sound. The deeper I went, the quieter the woods got. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of my boots. Around dusk, I found it. The cabin sat in a small clearing, half-collapsed roof, boards warped with moss. But there was smoke, thin, white, curling from the chimney. I froze. There were no cars, no paths, nothing to suggest anyone was out there. I called out, "Hello." No answer, just the crackle of something faint inside. Against better judgment, I climbed the porch. The wood groaned under my weight, like it remembered footsteps. The door was half open. Inside, the air was cold and heavy with damp wood and ash. A fire burned weakly in the fireplace, recent, still glowing. My breath fogged in the air. I called out again, louder. "Anyone here?" No reply. There was a table in the middle of the room, covered in dust except for one clear spot. A single, freshly placed mug of coffee. Steam rose from it. My camera shook in my hands. Every part of me screamed to leave, but curiosity kept me still. On the far wall hung a framed photograph, black and white, the glass cracked. It was a picture of a man, standing on that same porch I'd just walked up. I stepped closer. The man in the photo wore old flannel, suspenders, a blank stare. But something was off. In the reflection of the cabin window behind him, another figure stood slightly out of focus. I turned, heart pounding. Nothing behind me but my own shadow. I snapped a picture anyway, the flash cutting through the dark. That's when I heard it, a slow, deliberate creak from the floor above. I didn't think there was a second floor until that moment. The sound came again, heavier this time. Someone was walking. I whispered, "Hello?" The footsteps stopped. Then the door behind me slammed shut. I lunged for the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The air felt colder, heavier, the kind that hums in your ears. Then came another sound, softer now, like dragging. Something moving across the upper floor. I aimed my flashlight toward the staircase. Broken steps, darkness above. My beam caught something on the banister. Deep scratches, like fingernails had clawed into the wood. Suddenly, the fire hissed and went out, plunging the room into near blackness. Then, faintly, from upstairs, a whisper. I couldn't make out words, but it was rhythmic, almost chanting. I raised my camera and snapped another shot just for light. For a split second, I saw something, pale, human-shaped, hanging upside down from the rafters. I ran. The door finally gave way with one shove and I bolted into the woods. I didn't stop until I saw the trail markers again. When I reached my car, it was past midnight. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely get the keys in. The engine sputtered, but started. I drove straight to town, didn't look in the rearview mirror once. Back at the motel, I sat for hours, trying to calm down. Curiosity won again. I plugged in my camera to see what I'd captured. Most shots were dark or blurry, except the last one. The flash had lit the entire cabin interior, every rotten plank and cobweb. But hanging from the rafters, clear as day, was a man. His skin was gray, clothes tattered, eyes open and empty. Below him, standing on the ground, was another figure. Same face, same flannel shirt, same suspenders. One hanging, one watching. My stomach turned. I shut the laptop and packed my things immediately. I drove out before dawn, swearing never to go near those mountains again. But the story didn't end there. A week later, a park ranger called. They'd found my tripod by the cabin, and when they went to retrieve it, there was no structure left. Just the stone fireplace, blackened and cold. No roof, no walls. Nothing but charred remains that looked decades old. "You sure that's the place you saw?" he asked. I didn't answer. I checked my camera again that night. The photo of the two men was gone. In its place, a new one had appeared. Me, standing in that cabin doorway, looking straight into the lens, and behind me, just barely visible through the doorway's shadow, a hand resting on my shoulder.